So another weekend in the Championship has now been concluded, and in today's video we're going to be rounding up everything that went down this weekend in the Championship. And oh my word, we had a lot of drama going down this weekend. We had some really high scoring games this weekend to go ahead and talk over, some absolute screamers scored, and a lot of last minute drama. So let me know in the comments down below, what did you make of your team's performance this weekend? I'm very interested to see what you guys are saying for this one. Unfortunately for us now, we are going into another international break, which isn't too good for us, but even so, the Championship really did end on a high note for this one. And just before we do get into talking about any of the games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then I will include your comment on screen now. And fair play to everyone who did get one right. It was a really bizarre one to get this weekend, so fair play to everyone who got one. But apart from that, guys, let's jump into talking about some of these games. And so starting out with the game on Friday night, the Steel City derby between Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday, in the end finishing as a goalless draw. And I've got to say, coming into this game, I didn't anticipate that. I thought there'd be a bunch of goals scored with how poor Wednesday have been defensively so far this season, with Sheffield United flying near the top of the Championship. I thought this really would go one way, but in the end Sheffield Wednesday managed to grind out a point. If you look at the match stats at the end of this game, that sort of paints the picture as to the flow of the whole game really. Sheffield United had some fantastic chances in this one, but Cameron Dawson for Sheffield Wednesday, absolutely superb. I've been quite critical of Dawson so far this season for Wednesday. I think on quite a few occasions really he should have done better with some of the goals he's conceded, but in this game he was absolutely superb. From minute one, Sheffield United were really putting this Wednesday defence under some pressure. John Fleck had a fantastic chance from about 30 yards out, a driving effort towards goal, but Dawson managed to tip that one around the post. Obviously the best chance of the game coming for Sheffield United in the first half, where they were awarded the penalty. Duffy going down in the box. It was McGoldrick who stepped up for it, but a fantastic save from Dawson, getting down to the bottom corner, got a really strong hand on it. It wasn't necessarily a bad penalty from McGoldrick, but Dawson managed to keep Wednesday in this. Going forward, Wednesday, they had a couple of half chances, but nothing really too clear-cut in this one. It really was Sheffield United who were dominating for the majority of it. Sheffield Wednesday were sitting deep in their low block for this one, not letting United have a lot of space in behind, and you can tell that Sheffield United were becoming a little bit frustrated with that. They just couldn't get the ball to fall for them inside the box in the right areas, and Sheffield Wednesday managed to grind out a 0-0 draw in the end. On reflection of the whole game, Sheffield United, they should have gone to pick up all 3 points from this one, but Sheffield Wednesday picking up their first clean sheet of the season, it's not a bad point considering the game plan they went into this game with. And then into the Saturday games. First up, we have Birmingham going up against Hull City, finishing as a 3-3 draw in the end. What a dramatic game going on at St Andrews this weekend. It was Birmingham who had the better of the first half, really. Che Adams managing to score 2 goals. Hull really shooting themselves in their own foot for that first half. Both goals were highly avoidable, really. They were trying to play around from the back. Che Adams managed to pounce on 2 loose passes from a Hull player and managed to see Birmingham go 2-0 up at half time. In the second half though, we saw a real response from this Hull squad. Defensively so far this season, I think that Birmingham on the whole have been very good. There were a couple instances in this game though where I thought they could have been a little bit tighter to their man. Off the ball there wasn't too much pressure for the 2 goals that Hull got back into the game, with Fraser Campbell managing to score both of them. The second goal especially, I'm not sure what Lee Camp was doing for that one, but Hull managed to pull it back for 2-2 thanks to Fraser Campbell. He's been in a decent run of form lately. And then Grosicki in the 73rd minute, an absolutely fantastic free kick, bending into the top corner. Once again, I think that Lee Camp got a little bit of a touch on it, but even so, not taking it away from Grosicki, it was a fantastic free kick to get Hull back into the game, and that saw them go 3-2 up. And then late on in the 84th minute, we saw Birmingham get back into the game. Che Adams once again managing to wrap up the game, scoring a hat-trick, making it 3-3. Once again though, Hull sort of shooting themselves in their own foot really. It was sort of a shanked clearance, managed to fall into the path of Che Adams, and he absolutely smashed it home to go ahead and secure the point for Birmingham. So a really dramatic game. At the end of it, I'm not sure who's going to be more happy with the point really. Birmingham were 2-0 up at one point, Hull were then 3-2 up, but it ended 3-3. So a really dramatic game. I'd be very interested to get your guys' opinions in the comments down below. And then we saw Blackburn Rovers going up against Rotherham United, finishing as a 1-1 draw. So far this season we have seen Rotherham go on the road away from home and pick up some decent away points. I think that this does fall into that category. For this game, Blackburn created the majority of the chances, but in the end were left quite frustrated actually. Away from home, Rotherham do make themselves very hard to break down. They like to sit in 2 deep blocks, not let a lot of space in behind. And Blackburn were struggling at times to go ahead and break that down. Rodak as well, the goalkeeper for Rotherham United, popped up with some vital saves in the first and second half to go ahead and keep the scoreline down for this one. But going forward, Rotherham always have a threat. They are very direct away from home especially, and Matt Smith, I mean, he's an absolute menace in the box. Picking him up from set pieces or balls coming into the box can be an absolute nightmare, and he managed to send Rotherham in front after 75 minutes, but the lead wasn't to last for too long. It was Ben Berreton for Blackburn Rovers breaking forward, managing to pull the ball back across the goal line, and then Bradley Dack back, managed to secure the draw for Blackburn in the end. So a bit of a frustrating afternoon for Blackburn Rovers considering the amount of chances they picked up in the end for this one, but finishing as a 1-1 draw, a decent away point for Rotherham. And then we saw Swansea picking up all 3 points at Bolton with a 1-0 away victory thanks to a fantastic strike from Barry Mackay in the first half. However, talking about Bolton first of all, it's another loss for them and another week where we've seen them fail to score a goal. This now leaves Bolton in the relegation zone, and they're on the form at the moment. It's just been an absolute disaster for them. They've only picked up 1 victory in their last 13 championship matches, and up to this point in time in the season, I have been quite reserved on what I've made of Phil Parkinson, you know, the Bolton manager. You have to sort of look at it from both perspectives. Is he getting the best out of these Bolton players? And on the other hand, you know, he is working with a lot of restrictions, but even so, I think it is getting to that stage now where a change needs to be made sooner rather than later. The form that Bolton are on at this point in time is an absolute disaster. I'm just not sure where I can see the next points coming from them, to be completely honest. For the first half, Swansea had the majority of the chances of this one, and like I say, Barry Mackay scored an absolute wonder goal. The ball falling to him on the edge of the box, and he just arrowed it into the top corner. It just seemed to dip at the last second and nestle into the top corner. A brilliant strike from Barry Mackay. Sami Omiubi also had a very good chance for Bolton in the first half, crashing against the crossbar. I think the Swansea keeper just tipped it against the bar. In the second half, the game became a little bit more scrappy. Bolton having a lot more chances, quite a lot of long-ranging efforts, but in the end, nothing was quite going to fall for them. So, like I said, another loss for Bolton. Where do they go from here? And then we saw my team Preston then pick up a 1-0 away victory at Aston Gate and claim all 3 points against Bristol City. There just seems to be something about Preston going up against Bristol City. We absolutely love it playing there. But Callum Robinson picking up the only goal of the game for this one. Bristol City, I thought, were quite poor for this one, really. There were quite a few boos at full time as well. I can't really recall them having any sort of chances inside our box, really. A lot of their chances were coming from sort of long-ranging efforts. Declan Rudd had next to nothing to do all game for this one, really. Obviously, him coming in for Chris Maxwell for this game. And it is one of the first games that I've seen of Preston so far this season where I can't really point to anyone and say they had a poor game. I thought that collectively we were very good for this one. We defended our box very well. I thought that Bristol City would like to put a lot more pressure on us, you know, considering how poor we have been defensively so far this season, from things like defending from wide areas, defending crosses coming into the box. Bristol City weren't really testing us in those areas and were quite uncharacteristically poor going forward for this one. But like I said, Callum Robinson popping up with the only goal of the game for this one. He's on some fantastic form at this point in time in the season. What Preston were doing quite well in this game was switching the ball diagonally across the park. That's actually where our goal came from. Johnny Maguire switching the ball from the left-hand side at Tom Barcusen. He then managed to get the ball into DJ in the box, and then Callum Robinson was unmarked at the far post to go ahead and slot it in for Preston. So a fantastic win for Preston. We are now unbeaten in our last 7 games and are on a nice run of form going into the international break. And then we saw Derby going up against Aston Villa, with Villa walking away with a fantastic 3-0 away victory. What a brilliant performance this was from the away side in this one. In fairness, the first half was fairly close between the two sides. Derby actually had some really good chances to take the lead in this game. Harry Wilson having a couple of long-ranging efforts, Tom Lawrence going close, and Jack Marriott had some really good chances as well. He had 1-1-1, which he just couldn't manage to convert. Going into the second half though, that's when Villa really started to take control of this game. They managed to take the lead after 74 minutes. Some fantastic wing play from Yannick Bolasie, gets the ball into the box, then John McGinn has a free header inside the box, makes it 1-0 to Villa. It was the second half where Villa really started to show their quality going forward, and Derby just couldn't live with that defensively. They managed to then double their lead just a few minutes after, Tammy Abraham managing to make it 2-0, and then not long after that, in the 84th minute, they managed to go ahead and make it 3-0. A fantastic free kick from Conor Hourihane managed to secure all 3 points for Aston Villa, and at this point in time in the season, Villa only found themselves 4 points off the playoffs, and you do feel like under Dean Smith, this Villa squad really is heading in a direction now. Under Steve Bruce, they were sort of meandering around the Championship, picking up the odd result here or there, but under Dean Smith, there really does seem to be a philosophy about the way that Villa play, and going forward, when all their attacking options are in form like this, they can be an absolute nightmare to play against. They could have had more than the 3 goals they eventually got in this one. Derby, I thought, were quite uncharacteristically poor in the second half of this game. So far this season, Derby have been a really consistent side attacking-wise so far this season. That wasn't necessarily the case for this one, but Aston Villa, what an away performance it was. And then we saw Middlesbrough going up against Wigan Athletic. Middlesbrough claiming all 3 points thanks to Jordan Hugill, who scored both goals in this 2-0 victory, which does send Middlesbrough back into the top 2 of the Championship. The first half of this game especially, it was Middlesbrough who were dominating. They had the majority of the ball and were creating quite a few chances. Jordan Hugill managed to take the lead for Middlesbrough after 38 minutes from the penalty spot, putting it right down the middle, and then in the 44th minute he managed to make it 2-0. Some good play from Braithwaite down the left hand side, looks to ding the ball back into the middle. Walton gets a bit of a push on the ball falls to Hugill, he chests it and then volleys it into the back of the net, and when Middlesbrough go 2-0 up at home, Wigan were never really going to get back into the game. In fairness, in the second half I thought there was an improvement in the way that Wigan were playing. Going forward they were creating a few more chances, but even so Middlesbrough were looking very comfortable for the majority of this game, and so at this point in time Wigan Athletic not in the best run of form. However, if you do look at the games they've had recently, it has been quite a hard fixture run-in, so they'll be looking to pick up their form sooner rather than later, as they have been slowly slipping down the Championship. But Middlesbrough looking looking to get back to winning ways. Jordan Hugill is the man for them at the moment. And then to one of the most bonkers games of Championship football that we have seen so far this season. We saw Norwich 4, Millwall 3. This game had absolutely everything. It was actually Millwall who managed to take the lead in the first half. Norwich seemingly struggling with Millwall's direct approach for this one. Some balls coming into the box, didn't really deal with them in the best way possible, and Millwall managed to take that lead into half time. Getting into the second half then, we saw Pukki manage to level things up for Norwich City. He then had the chance to make it 2-1 to Norwich from the penalty spot, but there just seems to be something with Norwich this season and not being able to score penalties. We saw Pukki had this one saved, we've seen Varancic miss one this season, we've also seen Rhodes miss a couple as well, so there just seems to be something with Norwich and not being able to take penalties. In the 79th minute, Norwich did manage to take the lead though. A fantastic low driving shot from Morris Leitner managed to make it 2-1 to Norwich City. After that, you're thinking Norwich are going to hold on to this. They've been quite good so far at holding on to a lead, but Millwall managed to get back into the game. A long raking pass coming down the middle of the pitch, Norwich failing to deal with it. Millwall then make it 2-2, and then Tim Krul has an absolute nightmare throwing the ball straight to Joe Wallace. A quick 1-2 between him and Morrison. Manages to get in on goal, and then Millwall make it 3-2 in the 83rd minute. The game is completely flipped on its head, and it's looking like Millwall are going to go ahead and claim all 3 points from this game, but the drama didn't finish there. Then in the 92nd minute, we saw Norwich get back into the game. Some fantastic service up to Jordan Rhodes. He showed composure in front of the goal, and then Jordan Rhodes manages to make it 3-3. And then in the 97th minute, we saw Teemu Pukki manage to go ahead and win the game for Norwich City. A really nice finish from him to lift it over the keeper. Manages to make it 4-3. And at full time of this one, I was absolutely speechless. I'm sure everyone inside the ground for this one, it was an absolute roller coaster of emotions. And this game now sees Norwich lifted back to the top of the Championship, sat on 33 points, going into the international break. Norwich on a fantastic run of form. The thing I asked to Norwich fans and Championship fans in general is, come the end of the season, where do you think Norwich are going to finish? And then we saw Forest draw 0-0 with Stoke City. So far this season, it has been a characteristic of Nottingham Forest to draw a lot of football matches. They've already drawn 9 so far this season in the Championship. That's more than any other side. And realistically, in this chance, they did have the opportunities to go on and win the game. You know, they had some really good chances late on, especially Lewis Graben, a really good one-on-one opportunity. He just left it a little bit too long before going ahead and pulling the trigger. But in terms of Stoke City, one player who I have to pick out is Jack Butland. Really came up with some important saves for this game for Stoke City. You know, towards the start of the season, there were a couple instances where Butland conceded a couple of suspect goals. People weren't sure whether he was the keeper he once was, but lately in the Championship, he's been keeping a lot of clean sheets, and his performances over the last sort of month and a half have been absolutely excellent for Stoke City. Stoke themselves also had a couple of opportunities going forward. Berahino had a good chance with the ball falling to him inside the box. He just sort of spooned his header over the crossbar. We also had Benicofobia looking to play on the last man, looking to get in behind a couple of times as well, but in the end finishing as a goalless draw. We did say going into this game we didn't think there'd be many goals scored, and in the end that was the case. And a really entertaining game this weekend at Loftus Road saw QPR walk away with all 3 points after a 3-2 home victory over Brentford. A really engaging game this one. End-to-end football, both teams creating a lot of chances for this game, and really either side could have walked away with something. It was Brentford who took the lead after a hectic start to this game. Neil Maupay managing to get on the score sheet once again. Joe Lumley saving the original shot, and then Neil Maupay managing to ghost into the box and head Brentford 1-0 in front. Going into the second half after that, QPR had about a 10-minute spell where they were absolutely dominant and managed to score 3 goals in that time. So far this season, we've spoke about it a little bit on the channel so far, but Brentford defensively really don't hurt themselves. Going forward, they do tend to create quite a lot of chances per game, but defensively this season, they have really been shoddy. Goals for QPR coming from Luongo, Lynch and Wells managed to see off Brentford in this game. Brentford did get a goal back in the 81st minute, but by that point QPR were looking fairly comfortable in this one. Brentford had a couple of late flurries in this game trying to get back into the game, but in the end it was QPR who held on to all 3 points for this one. And when QPR were going under that unbeaten run earlier on in the season, a lot of that was built off defensive stability. Going forward, QPR haven't really been the most free scoring side so far this season, but in this game especially, I thought going forward they were putting together some really nice patterns of play, and going forward they have players who could hurt you from all areas of the pitch. So QPR, a really good side to watch in this game, were worthy of all 3 points in the end, and this victory for them now leaves them just 2 points off the playoffs. We had a massive game going on near the bottom of the Championship this weekend between Reading and Ipswich, finishing as a 2-2 draw in the end. I thought that Ipswich actually, in the first half especially, it was a really good performance from them. So far we've seen 2 games under Paul Lambert for Ipswich Town, and so far I think the Ipswich fans will be fairly pleased with what they've seen so far. It was Edwards who managed to take the lead for Ipswich after just 5 minutes. A ball coming into the box, falling to Edwards on the edge of it, and a low volley managed to make it 1-0 to Ipswich Town. Soon after that though, Reading did manage to get back into the game. Yaku Meite with quite an acrobatical effort managed to make it 1-1. So far this season he has really been their talisman, but not too long after that, Freddie Sears for Ipswich then managed to restore their lead, making it 2-1. A long ball coming in down the middle of the pitch from Bilkowski managed to completely split the Reading defence. I'm not sure what they were doing, and Freddie Sears managed to get in on goal to make it 2-1. After that, in the first half, Ipswich had some other chances to make it 3-1 really. In the second half, I thought that Ipswich was still looking fairly good. Towards the last sort of 10-20 minutes though, Ipswich were looking like they were sitting deeper and deeper. They looked to have run out a little bit of steam. Going forward, I thought it was a positive performance up to that point. And then in the 84th minute, Yaku Mete did manage to go ahead and secure the point for Reading, making it 2-2 in the end with a glancing header. So realistically, coming into this game, this was a must not lose for Ipswich Town. You know, if they did lose this game, the gap going into the international break could be absolutely massive. They are still sat bottom of the table, but I think that what they've shown under Paul Lambert so far is very encouraging. And then to round things up, we had West Brom 4, Leeds United 1, and I'll hold my hand up, I did not see this coming at all. Going into this game, West Brom were on a really torrid run of form in the Championship. Going forward, it was looking like the goals had dried up for them. Defensively, they were looking all over the place. Going up against a Leeds side who, up to this point in the Championship, you know, like to play with tempo off the ball, a really high energetic side that likes to play teams around the park with possession football. None of that was on show in this game. West Brom were absolutely fantastic and were more than deserving of their 4-1 victory in this game. It was probably the worst we've seen Leeds so far this season. They weren't really in this game at all, really. The first half did end 0-0, but West Brom had some brilliant chances in that half to go ahead and take the lead. But the second half was when West Brom really did start to turn on the burners. It was Robson Carney who gave West Brom the lead after 51 minutes. Phillips then making it 2 to West Brom after 67. Bailey Peacock-Farrell, Leeds fans, discuss in the comments down below. I'd be interested to know what your opinion is of him. He did pop up with a couple of decent saves in this game, but even so, I thought he could have done better with a few of the goals he conceded in this one especially. And Harvey Barnes with the third goal and Dwight Gale with the fourth, a really cheeky back heel attempt from him to go ahead and wrap up the game for West Brom. Pablo Hernandez did get a goal late on for Leeds United, but by that point, you know, West Brom had clearly walked away with all 3 points for this one. And this was back to the West Brom that we were used to seeing earlier on in the season, playing fast attacking football. Dwight Gale, Harvey Barnes, Jay Rodriguez all linking up fantastically between them. And despite Leeds having the majority of the ball in this one, you know, they had 72% possession. They really weren't crafting out many opportunities at all. They only had 3 shots on target in the entirety of this game. For the large majority of the game, Sam Johnson was untested for West Brom. And going forward, Leeds just weren't playing with the same tempo in this one. Off the ball, I didn't think they were brilliant either. And West Brom were more than deserving of their victory for the end of this one. Well, guys, they were all the games that did take place this weekend. So as always, let me know in the comments down below, what do you make of your team's performance this weekend? I'm always very interested to know. And just before we do wrap up the video, I will give you guys my result of the weekend. And this was a really tough choice this weekend because we had some absolutely brilliant results in the Championship. We had Aston Villa beating Derby 3-0 away from home, QPR beating Brentford 3-2, West Brom beating Leeds 4-1. But myself personally, I'm going to have to give it to Norwich City for beating Millwall by 4-3, just in the way they did it. Going into extra time for this game, they were down 3-2 and they somehow managed to turn it around for a 4-3 victory thanks to a 97th minute winner. So my result of the weekend is going to go to Norwich. And then my goal of the weekend, once again, a really tough contest this weekend. I'm interested to see what you guys will go ahead and vote for. We had a couple of really good free kicks scored this weekend. We had Yaku Mete with a very acrobatical goal scored as well. A couple others, nice long ranging effort, a nice one from Leitner for the Norwich game. But myself personally, I'm going to give it to Barry Mackay of Swansea City. A fantastic effort against Bolton Wanderers. So Barry Mackay gets my goal of the weekend. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you did go in to enjoy, make sure that you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.